Yo, what is up guys, and welcome back to a brand new F1 Esports video. On this channel, this is the title decider in the F1 Esports World Championship for both the Team Championship and for the Drivers' Championship. In the Drivers' Championship is going to be between Ismail Fassi and Otis Lawrence. No one else can win the Drivers' Championship anymore. As you can see right here, Otis Lawrence leading by 146 points, Ismail Fassi behind on 129. So 17 points behind for Ismail Fassi. Now, sounds like a lot, and it is. But if he wins the race, that means Otis Lawrence will have to finish P5, I think so, or P6. Doesn't matter. It's not really relevant to us anyway. In the constructors, we are 4 points behind going into this. There's a reason why we're only 3 points behind going into the last race. You will see that at the end of qualifying. But yeah, as you can see there, Ferrari is still in it as well, 187 points. Quite far away. But again, they have been quite in form in these past few races since Barry Bormann is back. So it will be tough, for sure. But first, we have to focus on qualifying. Last year, we finished P15 in qualifying. Not ideal. We're going to try and improve that this year. We've done a lot of practice on Abu Dhabi on this game to try and get better at qualifying on this track. But I really just don't like the balance on the F1 games around Abu Dhabi. It's just always extreme understeer and then quite poor traction as well. So yeah, the understeer kind of, even if I do have the pace, it ruins the confidence a little bit. But let's see what we can do here. End of Q1, we're P13. So we have to improve for sure. Unless the bottom three completely bottle their laps. Wouldn't really be the first time this year. I think Barcelona Q1 was really slow cut-off time as well. And because there's only 9 teams this year, there's just quite a big chance that, or a bigger chance that the bottom 3 rather than the bottom 5 just don't do as well enough. Usually the 2 extra people on the grid just increases the chance that you get knocked out, of course. So final run Q1, and we're 300s down actually. Make that 700s down as we head into the hotel section. So we've got to send it hard in order to still improve on this, and that's exactly what I'm trying to do. But unfortunately, we invalidate our lap because of that, and I instantly backed out. There's no point to continue pushing. All we can do is hope that no one else improves, and they actually don't. We're P14, 1 final car across the line, so we actually made it with our first run, even though we're only P13 there. By 1.2 hundredths, Duncan Hofland, Tycho Hardy, and Joris Cruisen out in Q1. Actually, the bottom 4 are all Dutch, so maybe it has something to do with that we do not have the base on Abu Dhabi. Let's keep it at that. So on to Q2, this is our first new tire run, and we completely missed the last corner there, so not the end of the world, because then we know there's time to gain in the final corner on that final run. We're only P10. I think even if we did get the final corner right, that might have not been enough to make it through. So yeah, I think there's around half a tenth to a tenth in that final corner if we get it right. So let's see. 200 gain straight away. Make that 300s actually. Make that 400s as we head through turn number 2 and 3 into the second sector. That's been a really nice first sector. And then such an important exit coming up. A little bit of a moment. That would have cost us some time as we enter the first long back straight. Important to get good rotation here, but also important to brake as late as possible. That's kind of what I've been struggling with. Unfortunately, we clipped the curb a little bit. That's not ideal. But we're still 300s up, and that's what we need. Remember, we've got time in the final corner, so we've got to maybe gain another 1 or 2 hundredths in this final sector, and then we can just improve in that final corner, hopefully. Unfortunately, we hit that RNG pothole there on the apex, which I can't believe is still there after all these years. So we lost a couple of hundreds of that, around 200s. Through that double left, and there we go. Couldn't quite get the rotation again through there. But we still ended up not losing time. Into the final corner, let's see, can we gain some time? And we've missed the apex again. And across the line we go, and it's only P13, so that means we're out in Q2. And that's what I was talking about earlier on in the video. There's just an incredible amount of unders there on this track for some reason, and I just haven't been able to really cope with it. And that means we're starting in P13. We missed out by around half a tenth, probably what we needed to gain in the final corner, and we didn't. Our teammate Freddie Rasmussen gets pole position by 1/1000th of a second, and that means he gains an extra point. And we're now only 3 points behind in the Constructors' Championship, which might be crucial when the margins are so small. So the gap was 4 points. I know I showed at the end of the last video that the gap was 3 points, but it was 4 points. Now it's 3 points. So let's see our final strategy of the year. And you can see we're on the medium hard at the moment. And we're going to change that very late on to the hard mediums. Our teammate Freddie Rasmussen is doing medium hard regardless. And on the very last second, we're going to switch to the hards. Just have some better pace towards the end of this race. Last year, we did medium hard strategy. This year, we're going to do hard medium. We've got to make up some positions because we cannot just let the team championship come down to Freddie, starting from pole, of course. Into turn one, we go around the outside, playing it a little bit safe, of course. As Jake Benham lifts through the left-hander, we use the gap around the outside. We've got Thomas Gao on our outside on the hards, or on the medium, sorry. So he's gonna have some more grip. We're gonna break late into the next left-hander. It's 3 wide. I knew that when I went into that corner, but by the time we get to the exit, Thomas Gao has cleared Jake Benham. And now we've lost one position to Thomas Gao on the mediums. Can we overtake Jake Benham, who's on the same strategy? So that's crucial. And actually, we're going to overtake a few more people around the outside. We go there for a little moment. We got up to P11, but we got Joni Tomala on the mediums right there ahead of us. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the move done there. And yeah, we cannot go into the attack straight away again because our battery was starting to run a little bit low after those 2 long back straights. We got Thomas Gao still right behind us. Tauko Hardy actually on the softs. So he's definitely doing a 2-stop. That's not a 1-stop strategy. And again, 2-stop is viable on this track. So it will be interesting to see how he does. And yeah, now through the double right hand, we still got Thomas Gao right behind us, but the mediums again, just like on Mexico, not a great race tire because it's the softest compound available. End of lap 7, and we got quite a few people diving into the pits. Some people have already boxed for the 2-stop. We're not really expecting them to be relevant in this race, but it really depends how the race evolves. If it's going to be a shit show, then you might suddenly see someone on a 2-stop win the race, but we didn't expect that much of a shit show. So, we now had to push a little bit to get into the DRS of Thomas Ronnar ahead, who is behind Isan Pukki on the mediums. Our teammate Freddie Rasmussen still out on the mediums, going a few laps longer to avoid having poor tires towards the end of the stint. So, you got some nice DRS now. We can recharge our battery a little bit and continue saving our tires as well, because that's what you need to do a 1-stop on this game, on this track. So start of lap 13, and as you can see, Thomas Ronnar got past Istvan Pukki, who's still out on the medium, so he's going for a long medium stint. But that also means his tires are very worn. You can see how much less mechanical grip he has through that left-hander. We got some good rotation as well, and now we should be able to get the move done into the next chicane. And then it's Danny Bresnay right ahead of us. Now he will be an issue. He will not be letting us through that easily. He will sacrifice his race if he needs to in order to not let us pass. It's going very long in this first stint. Our teammate Freddie Rasmussen boxed at the end of lap 12, at the end of the last lap. And yeah, that's still quite late. But you will have fresh tires towards the rest of the race. End of lap 14, we got Daniel Bresnay boxing, which is very lovely. As Daniel Bresnay boxes, Thomas Rönner actually gets disconnected from the race, and that moves us into P2 of the hard medium runners. Now we're going to sit behind here, even though he has disconnected. We want to sit behind until the DRS detection, so we get DRS on the next two back straights. And just as we cross that line, we go down the inside of his AI and up to P2 we go. And now we are 5.1 seconds behind Ismail Fassi. Quite unlikely that we will end up at some point behind him in this race, because 5 seconds in 14.5 laps is a little bit much to make up for in F1 Esports, but we can try. So yeah, at this point in time, our only goal is maximum attack. That's what we need. We've got Jake Benham right behind us on a similar strategy. Ismail Fassi boxed at the end of lap 16 quite early, but their strategy was box end of lap 16. Obviously, it might not be the fastest way, but he will come out quite close to the front of the train, so he only has to overtake very few cars, or less cars at least, in order to get to the front. And if he gets to the front fast, that means he can pull away on his mediums when everyone else boxed early onto hards for track position. End of lap 17, Jake Benham has boxed behind us. End of lap 18, we're going to come into the pits for a fresh set of the hards. Yeah, we pushed hard in these last 4 or 5 laps. So we're going to come in and put on a new medium set of tires. You can see the two stoppers, Joni Tomola, Thomas Gau and Tycho Hardy, still towards the back. Their time will come towards the end of this race. But at the moment, the race is looking quite clean for title decider for last race. And yeah, their race, or their strategy is kind of hoping for some chaos, because it's not the fastest way. And that means that if it's not the fast way, you might not catch up. But then even if you do catch up, you still have got some overtaking to do. So, lap 19, 2.7 seconds behind Jake Benham. He undercut us by around 3.5 seconds, just over 3.5 seconds actually, which is a lot. But a 1 lap tire advantage on this track is quite big. So, Tycho Hardy in P13 on the hards. And then ahead of him, there's another 1 second gap, I would say, towards the top 12. Actually, it's not even top 12. I think it's top 9, because some people still have to box. So, just so far, we have not really gained anything to Jake Benham. I was just taking it easy, saving tires, so we could get the moves done once we arrived. That is our strategy here. And now, everyone is boxed. We're in P10. And as you can see, our teammate Freddie Rasmussen only in P8. And that's because he got front wing damage. And yeah, you can see he's just understeering off the track. He got front wing damage while trying to overtake the cars that boxed earlier than him on the medium hard. So, yeah. Now we have a bit of an issue, because Ferrari is 1-2. If it stays like this, we're going to finish P3 in the Constructors. We've got Danny Bresnay P7, Otis Lawrence, you can see ahead in P4. So we've got to make moves. It's 8 laps to the end, and we're P9, make that P8, as we're trying to find our way through. And Danny Bresnay, I locked up a little bit there as I drove over the curb on the entry. Let's see, can we get the move done? Perhaps at the start of Sector 2 in Turn 5. And we've got to be aggressive, because we've got to make moves into the next braking zone. Down the inside we go. And now, Danny Bresnay should get a little bit more momentum. He doesn't, because we've got the fresher tires on. And the medium compound. Up to P7 we go. Alfie Butcher next. I was having a little think about going down the inside there. I think I could have pulled it off cleanly. But yeah, we made 2 moves in the space of 20 seconds. Let's just count to 10. we really cannot afford to make any mistakes, get a penalty, get front wing damage. At the same time, we can also not afford to wait too long. Our mediums do not last long. They will suffer in this race. And as you can see, at the moment, we're not even near Alpine and Ferrari. They're on 234, Alpine, Ferrari on 230. At the moment, as it looks like, in order to still win this Constructors' Championship, we've got to win this race. And I'm trying to go around the outside, down the inside in the final corner. And at this point, I realized we've got to make moves if we want to win this race. Into turn 1, we go around the outside. Up to P5 we go. We got 7 laps to go. Otis Lawrence right ahead of us. Crucially, if we get ahead of him, we don't just gain points, but they also lose points. So, now, we got 7 laps. I had to leave a little bit of space there. So there was a big send from Danny Bresnay there into turn number 5. We got to recharge our battery a little bit here. Crucially, the Ferrari of Ismail Fassi boxed 2 laps before us. He has not pulled out of DRS yet. As Alfie Butcher goes down the inside, I made sure to leave him the space so he could run deeper into the corner and he could keep the position. They're both on a similar strategy, and it's crucial that Alfie stays ahead of Danny Bresnay, because that just gives us some extra points. And crucially, now Danny Bresnay has lost the position to Nicolas Longuet as well. In the meantime, we are recharging our battery, and as you can see, by the end of this lap, we're probably going to be around 70%, and that means we can probably go for a move, as Barry Bormand, I think, is slowing down there in order to make sure that Ismail Fassi is pulling off into this distance, because they know we're coming on a fresher set of the medium. So is Nicolas Longuet, who boxed even 1 lap later. Start of lap 24. We need 9 more points to win this Constructors' Championship. Ferrari is winning it at the moment. Alpine on 228. But crucially, as you guys might have seen, Danny Bresnay has retired from the race. He had an incident in the final corner, got suspension damage, and that's his race over. That graphic still showed the 2 points Danny Bresnay got from if he would finish P9. So, that's a gain. The issue is, we need the point gain to Ferrari at the moment. What helps is Jake Benham on a similar strategy, just getting ahead of Barry Borman there. And that moves us closer once again in the Constructor Championship. But we need to finish ahead of these guys. We need P3, at least at the moment, to win this championship. Maybe even P2. At the moment, it's starting to look quite unlikely that we're winning this race, because we have to recharge our battery. Now, start of lap 25. We still need 6 more points. Even though Barry Bormand has lost that P2, we've got to make a move on Otis Lawrence. Perhaps into the next left-hander. Unfortunately, we can't. Now, if we get ahead, then that means we gain 2 extra points, and Alpine loses 2 points. So then it's 223 for us, 224 for them, which means we need to gain even more. So yeah, let's see. At the moment, we need P2. But obviously, if Barry Bormand on his old tires loses perhaps that position to Nicolas Longuet, who's coming as well. He even has a fresher set of tires than us. So we got to be mindful that he might be a threat even to us in this race as well, because a 1 lap tire advantage is quite big. Now, we got to move on Otis Lawrence. I think he was not too interested in fighting us too hard, because he is fighting for the driver's title, and he needs P6 at least to win the driver's title. So yeah, he's not too interested in us. He knows Nicolas Longuet will be in a fresh set of tires. So yeah, he will be under a lot of pressure, but so are we, because we still got some positions to gain in order to win this. Start of lap 26, and as said on the last lap, we would be on 223 and 224 for Alpine, 227 for Ferrari. If we get ahead of Barry, we gain 3, and they lose 3. So then we're winning the Constructors' Championship. So P3 is what we need at the moment. Even though I said P2 last lap, that was waffle. So can we perhaps go for a move already 3.5 laps to go into the next chicane. Barry Burman using up a lot of battery there, more than us. And that's just what we need. We need to drain him. And his tires will be suffering. Now, obviously, relatively, we should be losing more pace lap by lap to those hards. But we will have a tire advantage until the very end of this race. And as you can imagine, we're willing to be very aggressive when it comes down to the last lap, and we still do not have P3. The question is, will Barry and Ferrari, are they willing to be aggressive? Because if we get into an incident and Otis gains positions because of it, they lose the driver's title. So yeah, when it comes down to it in the last lap, we're able to take a lot of risk. In the end, we do not care too much if we lose P2 to P3 in the constructors. So 3 laps to go, and you can see there Barry flashing, and that means he's using none through there. Now we've got more grip, so we could use ERS and go around the outside into turn 5. We're going to brake as late as possible, go around the outside. We're ahead of the apex, and now we got more momentum and get P3 in this race, and that's what we need for the constructors fight. And now we're behind P2, Jake Benham. Now we do not need P2, so we're going to play this smart. We're going to recharge our battery as aggressively as possible to create a cushion for ourselves for Nicolas Longay, because remember, he is coming as well. We do not know, or I did not know, what fights McLaren are in this Constructors' Championship. So if they maybe needed P2, then you know, they might be willing to take a lot of risk for that. And then, yeah, if something happens, we might lose the position to Nicolas Longay, and then we lose the Constructors' Championship again. But let's just focus on getting P3. No more risk. We're recharging our battery aggressively here. Nicolas Longay, 1 lap tire advantage to us. We have a 1 lap tire advantage to Jake Benham. We're going to leave a little bit of a gap here to Jake Benham. So that way we got less dirty air. Relatively than Nicolas Longay, because he is 4 tenths behind. Jake Benham 7 tenths ahead. So yeah, this way we got more mid-corner grip and can focus better on the exit. And the rest of the lap we're just gonna recharge the battery again. Again, I also don't know what battles Williams is in constructors. So yeah, maybe Longay wants to take the risk, maybe he doesn't. All I knew is that I had to keep P3. And that is the focus at the moment. As you can see there, crucially, Otis Lawrence into P5 and Barry Burman down to P6. Barry obviously fought like hell in order to help Ismail. Boxed early as well onto a new set of the hards, and yeah, it just his tires are dropping away, and that's good for us because Ferrari dropping more points might just help us in the end. But in the end of the day, we had to finish P3 anyway. So let's just focus on keeping this P3. Nicolas Longay 2.5 tenths behind. We're a little bit wide there. And as you can see on the graphic there, 226 we've got at the moment. Alpine 224. If we lose this position, we lose 3 points. And that will give us only P2 in the Constructors' Championship. Not what we need. Again, Jake Benham, 4.5 tenths ahead. And crucially, actually, now we're closer to Jake Benham than Nicolas Longay is to us. So we're getting a tiny bit more slipstream. But again, we do not need to make a move. And yeah, especially when that graphic pops up of us leading the championship, Jake Benham probably got told, you know, the guy behind you, he's not gonna go for it too aggressively. Jake actually went defensive there a little bit, nothing too crazy. But again, I was shaking my wheel here just to kind of tell him, you know, I'm not gonna do anything. You don't even have to defend. We're just going to create a gap here in the hotel section just to make sure we got some clean air on this exit and then we can absolutely launch it off this exit in order to create a little bit of a bigger gap ahead of the next braking zone. I'm going a little bit defensive. I'm just not using too much curb to make sure Nicolas Longuet cannot even think about going for a move there. And with that P3, we are team champion once again for the second year in a row. Me and Freddy win the Constructors Championship. Unfortunately, not the Driver Championship. But yeah, we just lost too much points in the middle of the year. I think there were 4 or 5 consecutive races where I scored like 2 points. Whereas even if you win 2 races or finish P4, P5 in those races, easy said and done, of course, you're up there and fighting for the title. But in the end of the day, it is what it is. We're just going to try and do our best again next year. And yeah, Otis ended up winning the championship around, I think, half an hour after the finish. We had to wait quite long as well, but we were 99% sure that we had won it. It was just the pending an investigation on Nicolas Longuet, which wasn't really anything. So, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed the F1 Esports season. We will be back with Road to Glory with Cadillac on the F1 26 game soon. 2 days to be exact. Hope you guys enjoyed this season. Make sure to like and subscribe. And we'll be back next season. Ciao.